Yo guys, what is going on? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to Australia's rise to global power. So hit the like button, hit subscribe, and let's go.
Is Australia the next big thing in the world? Well, okay, I guess it's big, but I mean, like, is Australia the next hot thing? Okay, you got me there too. I mean, will the last frontier be the next frontier to rise to global power? There might be a good chance, but let's talk about some of their challenges along the way, and it's not just being surrounded by animals that will kill you if you look at them strangely. First, let's actually go to the place. It sits here under the earth out of view from anybody. It's huge, it's flat, it's coastal, and it's dry. So dry. 1/3 of Australia is desert and 1/3 of it is semi-desert, making up the outback, which changed the Australians from posh, manners-loving British criminals to brash, wallaby-riding bogans. Since they couldn't live there, the Australians huddled on the coasts into large cities. In fact, 5 of them make up over half the population, and almost all Australians live on the east coast on the other side of those mountains, making Perth the most isolated major city on Earth, so you really don't want to know what goes on there. The west was too dry, the north was too wet, the south had 100-meter tall cliffs, the interior is probably the closest thing to hell on earth there is, and the east is actually really nice.
Yo, this picture,
Probably the closest thing to hell on earth.
this is a great video. I love this already. But this right here, this is what I see when I see an Australian spider in these videos. I see demons, and I'm tired of it. We got to find a way to get them out of here. Some type of algorithm that scans through the video, and if it finds a spider, it automatically skips 5 seconds for me. See, if someone can code that for me, let me know. I sure as hell can't code that.
Earth there is, and the east is actually really nice. I'm so jealous of their weather and their shining sun and their happiness and their lack of this and their... So what do these Australians in the east do all day other than catch 30-meter high waves? Duh, they farm. Australians never do anything small, and I mean anything, and their farms are no exception, being some of the largest on Earth, with 55% of their land technically used for farming, although most of that farmland looks like this.
Yeah.
Dry and wide. Why doesn't it look like this? Because of that. The Australians don't have that. Sure, they have rivers, but the important ones where people live, namely the Murray-Darling Basin, which makes up over half of water consumption, are constantly at risk of drying up. Sure, they have the ocean, but that doesn't do much when it's saltier than the average YouTube comment section. And the billabongs around Australia don't do much when you could be eaten alive for swimming in them. Water security is the first big challenge Australia will need to face, and so far they're not doing a great job. See, Australia gets wet from 2 main cycles, the Southern Oscillation and the Indian Ocean Dipole. Sometimes the high pressure air is over here, sometimes it's over here. How the wind works, who knows? That's only up to the Most High to decide. But however it works, all you need to know is that Australia has 3-year cycles of being very dry and 3-year cycles of being very wet, scientifically named the long dry and the big wet. This is how rain generally comes, not by the seasons, but by the long and the wet. That's a huge problem for water security during the dry cycles, which have more recently been looking like a contest to burn the most animals possible. But the thing is, Australia has a lot of land and not a lot of people, so they make a ton of food and end up shipping it off to the world. Not a big deal, right? Wrong! Technically, with every ounce of food they ship off, they're also shipping off the water that was used to make that food, also called virtual water. And because of huge calorie exports, restrictions on foreign food and crops entering the country, and some subsidies given to farmers, it makes Australia the largest virtual water exporter on Earth.
Wow.
The driest continent on the planet is also technically the largest water exporter too, giving away as much as their stored water reservoir every year. That's not going to go very well when Australia gets even more dry from a changing climate and fires, droughts, dust storms rage on and river inflows dry up. The next long dries are going to feel like...
This video does not have me, like, hold on. Where is the rise to global power in this video? This is the Australia is doomed. That should have been the damn title, unless he switches things up. Because I'm like, yo, chill out on the Australians. They're just trying to have a good time. Okay? We know what the Australians do. We know what y'all get up to. Okay? Doesn't matter what the weather's like. Just let them have fun.
Like that. Dry and long. Or as the Australians would say, stiff and iffy. Australia has some pretty unique slang. You know, Barbie, not barbecue, doggo instead of dog, bogan instead of hoser, instead of friend, gnarly, good day, dollary dues. It can sometimes seem like a whole new language. It's not, but why not learn a new language with Speakly? Speakly isn't like other
Bro,
languages.
there's no way he just did that. Get out of here. That was pretty good, honestly. This man is... I might subscribe to this channel on my own. This dude makes funny videos.
It was made when Britain couldn't send their base, and if you love it, get a 60% discount on an annual membership with the link below. Thank you to Speakly for sponsoring this video. Did you know Australia was made when Britain couldn't send their prisoners to America anymore because of, you know, that whole thing? And they couldn't send them to Africa because the tropical diseases were seen as too harsh for even murderers to live through, so they sent them here. And then they looked around and realized there was nothing, and it was kind of hard to build a city from nothing. So they gave the prisoners economic freedom to go get a bag and build this new country. There was still some beef between the ex-convicts and the elites until the 1850s in a gold rush where a monopoly was tried and failed, so now anyone can go and get rich. Ugh. I guess these convicts now deserve real rights, so they got them. And boom, there's the whole colonial history of Australia with independence given in 1901. Now it's free, equal-ish, and ready to industrialize. Luckily, they knew what to industrialize into. Digging! Dig, 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 dig. Australia is a massive exporter of iron, coal, gold, copper, nickel, gas, zinc, lead, manganese, aluminum, tin. Whoa! You fell asleep there. You didn't let me finish my list of metals. Titanium, uranium, silver. Yeah, if it's a metal, chances are Australia probably supplies it to you, especially iron or coal. 70% of all their exports are raw materials straight from the ground, making them a little dependent on world markets for monetary stability and making all of their other economic sectors completely uncompetitive on the world stage. But who cares? They're young and they're turnt and got ditches galore. Tripling the per capita income since 2000 from the investment put into mining by... Just kidding, it's mostly by the US, UK, and Belgium. China is just the one who eats all of the iron. And the extra money is put into other sectors. Despite what I say, Australia is still a highly diversified, rich economy. Shocking, I know. Most of that economy is based in the cities, as most Australians are in fact cowards and refuse to live among the dingoes in the outback. And the data is great. Low inflation, falling unemployment, high GDP growth, and they haven't had a recession in 3 decades. Yes,
Damn.
decades, not years. Most of the growth coming from new immigrants coming into the barren land or feeding metal to these Asian countries who seem to never get full. What about credit? Oh, there's the problem they're hiding in their perfect, shiny economy. Credit has increased almost 8 times since 2000, outpacing GDP, which only grew by 3 times. Almost all of the new credit grew from housing. Australia might be sprawling, but it's incredibly dense in the places where people actually want to live, with more and more immigrants coming into the port cities where housing can't really spread outwards, raising the price of a bungalow. And the tax code forces Australians to get addicted to buying more and more housing. They have something called negative gear.
Yo, this right here is hilarious. I'm sorry. I want to see that again.
Forces Australians to get addicted to buying more and more housing. They have something called negative gearing, which isn't what Lance Armstrong did when he got caught. Instead, it's essentially when you buy a house or land so that it goes down in value and you cut it off your tax bill. About 20% of Australians have an extra property for investing. Rich guys, I respect it, they just want to make some money, but the main consequence is Perth being the most affordable major city in Australia. By the way, Perth was also in the top 20 most unaffordable cities on Earth in 2021, so you can imagine how the other cities are doing. It's like a country where half the population lives in LA. They might be rich, but things get expensive. So their dirty economy based on dirt, and dirt, which is also pretty overcredited and hasn't had a recession in a minute, is pretty damn volatile to swings in global metal demand and housing prices. Next time they do have a recession, I wouldn't expect it to be cute like this little koala. I'd expect it to be more... So why do I think Australia might be a growing power throughout the century? It's simple, really. They're secure.
All right, here we go. All right, we got about 2 minutes left of the video. Now we're done shitting on Australia. Let's get it. I'm shocked.
Australia might be a growing power throughout the century. It's simple, really. They're secure. Now, young Australians may look in the mirror and feel pretty insecure about themselves, but then they'll remember, I have coal and money and food, and feel a whole lot better about themselves. They're the main supplier of raw materials to Asia. They're like an English coal miner slapped in the middle of Asia, or on the outside, I guess. And because of that, the UK, and much, much, much more importantly, the US loves to work with them. Australia is in pretty much every Pacific Defense Treaty the US and friends make, and they are huge suppliers of weapons and military technology to each other. The day the Americans abandon the Australians is the day the Americans switch from God-loving freedom to the metric system. The people who say Australia is going to have to choose between the US and China one day are wrong. Australia has already chosen the US. China is only one of their buyers, a pretty big one, but it's still only one of them. If China slows down in growth and demand for ground sludge falls, maybe from their anciently aged population or insane lockdowns, the Aussies surely will too. But they still have India and Southeast Asia to sell to, who are ready to grow and don't seem to be bothered with environmental ethics. And if they slow down exporting or making Tim Tams and roux sausages to keep some of their water drinkable, they can get some extra food from New Zealand, who seems to be the identical twin of Australia, except with mining switched to agriculture. Plus, Australia will never, ever, ever run out of energy, having some of the the largest coal reserves. And whenever that gets too unpopular for energy, it's legitimately the best place on Earth to put solar and wind farms in the empty, cloudless, flat outback. Cheap, abundant, and practically free energy could mean more manufacturing at home. Why not make some steel plants, being a massive exporter of the two main materials, iron and coal, after all? Steel factories are good for young boys. I remember my first molten steel spill. Yup. Turned me into a man. They definitely have the room to grow and let more blokes in, especially in smaller towns, being one of the least densely populated, most desolate countries on Earth. That's why they'll have a great future. They're small and rich and vast with room to grow, and everything they need they have and is secure. Food, materials, energy, capital, defense, just not water unless you're talking gnarly waves. It's boring, it's slow growth, and it's not exciting per se, but exciting for a country usually means something like
all right,
manganese, put into other.
That was a great video, honestly. There were a lot of jokes, and it didn't seem like it was very serious, but he did throw a lot of information, statistics, and facts at us. I share the same sentiments. I think Australia is definitely a rising global power, and they're going to be up there. When you do think about it, though, when we're going to all these renewable energy sources, this all here, they're going to find a way to use all that. They're going to find a way. Solar, think about all the solar panels you could put in this. You could put solar panels that are miles long. It'd be expensive, but you would make it all back eventually. It's just the investment. Wind, too. He said wind. I mean, I've heard the wind in Australia is crazy. The storms get crazy, so there's certainly a lot of room for growth with Australia. The whole credit thing's worrying, but let's be honest. Every country has their problems with credit. I mean, we already went through it in 2008, so I would not be surprised if Australia does. It's kind of your break-in period. Everyone has to at some point. But, let me know what you guys think. Are you happy with where Australia is and where it's heading? The water thing's concerning, but I'm sure that could be worked out somehow. There has to be some type of purification method that comes through where it's suddenly cheaper to drink straight from the Pacific Ocean. I'm sure, like, a lot of this stuff is like just in general with me, with technological advancements and worrying about the climate. I still am worried about the climate and still put in effort to do my part and not harm the climate and leave the earth better than when I came into it. But at the same time, I do have a lot of faith in scientific development and technology growing at its exponential rate to the point where hopefully, maybe not in my lifetime, but eventually a lot of the current issues surrounding the climate and things like that will be able to be remedied just from our advancements in science and technology. So that's where my eggs are, all in that basket. So I'm really hoping that we continue at the rate that we're going, and hopefully even more rapid rate. Brings up a lot of ethical issues, but So does everything. So let's be honest. Anyways, guys, let me know what you thought of the video. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.